Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me and allowing me to continue to be your daily advocate. If you're new here or you're not subscribed for any reason, please do me a huge favor and hit the subscribe button. Thank you to all of you who have been watching and following me for so long. It truly means a lot, and I'm glad that I can be this person.
I'm right here out of James K. Filan. The SEC has filed a motion for permission to redact notes on meetings between the SEC and third parties, claiming the notes are protected by DPP. The request is based on January 13th, 2020 decision on DPP issues. So once again, the court has forced the SEC to hand over certain documents between the SEC and third parties and essentially notes that were taken on certain meetings. The SEC actually realizes that they are going to have to hand over these documents. They probably realize they can't fight every single issue like they're fighting the Hinman speech. So their solution to this is they just want to black everything out. I'm going to show you guys what they're saying right here. They say the court held that the DPP did not shield from protection on certain sets of notes of meetings between SEC staff and third parties unrelated to Ripple. However, the court also ruled that the SEC may seek leave to redact any portion of the notes which expressively reflected the author's own thinking or reflected deliberations or communications among SEC staff during the meeting. Based upon the court's orders, the SEC seeks leave to redact the 4 sets of notes described below. So the SEC is saying, look, we have to hand over some of these documents. We're going to do it. But the court said that we can ask to redact certain portions of them. So this is what they're doing right here. They're trying to black out certain portions of the notes. Now, this in itself isn't that shocking, but Jeremy Hogan actually made a comment on this that I believe was pretty crazy on how they're trying to redact this. It's one thing if they were trying to prevent only Ripple from seeing this, but it looks like they might be trying to prevent the court from seeing these redactions as well. I've got some serious issues with this, but we're going to get into that later. The first thing I wanted to point out to you guys was something very interesting when I was just looking at what the notes were, trying to get an idea of what we were looking at. The most significant thing I was able to pull from that was the fact that all of these notes happened in 2018, right before the Bill Hinman Ethereum free pass speech. You can see right here, June 2018, June 2018, June 2018, June 2018, October 2018. So it looks like a lot of these notes likely had to do with the SEC going out and collecting information that would eventually work its way into the Bill Hinman Ethereum free pass speech. There's no doubt in my mind this was the SEC trying to build up what the speech was going to contain, and we know from multiple documents filed in the past in this case that this speech likely at one point had some information regarding XRP. I have a feeling a lot of these notes probably have XRP in them, and that is what the SEC is trying to redact here. They already know they have to hand over these notes. Now they're doing damage control. They want to try to block out the parts that are really going to do them dirty. Let's keep moving though. Let's take a look at what some lawyers have to say before I show you guys kind of the biggest issue I have with what the SEC is doing here and what we think is going to happen. So Ashley points out this motion's implications. The SEC knows that it has lost the DPP battle, but not the war. If it gets permission to redact, I predict heavy redactions will be applied, meaning Ripple will have to file a motion to remove the redactions. So she says that if the SEC is granted the ability to redact these documents, she thinks they're going to go off right here. They're going to redact everything they can, and then Ripple's going to have to go back in and file a motion to try to remove some of the redactions. I completely agree. Once again here, and I'm actually going to skip over this one, and just back to what we were saying before, correct. So by redacting, removing certain documents, they are minimizing the exposure should the judge reaffirm her decision that the documents must get turned over. So essentially what the SEC is doing right here is damage control. They know they can't fight every single document going over to Ripple the way they are fighting the Ethereum emails, or else the court would essentially, they would piss off the court and the court would likely just start really hammering down on them. So they're saying, look, we want to hand these over, but we want to go in and get rid of all the bad stuff before we hand them over. Classic SEC, supposed to be a transparent organization, and they are just constantly trying to hide everything that goes on there. It's insane, but honestly, the most insane part about this is the fact that the SEC is trying to block out everything, not only for Ripple, not only for the public, but to the judge as well. And Jeremy Hogan was actually pretty shocked by this, because eventually people were asking him, like always, they're like, hey Jeremy, what does this mean? And he says, yes, information redacted is only kept from the public, us. The judge sees it all. And then he says, I apologize. I hadn't read it that carefully. The SEC wants to redact even the Ripple and the judge in this specific case. It's not normal, but might make sense in light of the judge's order. So he points out that the SEC is actually trying to make it so the things they take out of these documents can't be seen by Ripple or the judge. So I think this is pretty insane. I understand redacting a document and not allowing Ripple to see it strategically, but I don't really think there's any scenario in which the judge shouldn't be allowed to see anything. At the end of the day, if getting to the bottom of a case is all about finding the truth, why wouldn't the judge be able to see everything? She should be able to see every single thing in the case, regardless of certain parties or the public get to see it, so she can make the most informed decision possible on who actually wins on the merits. So I think it's pretty crazy that the SEC is even allowed to redact anything from the judge. It seems like the judge should be allowed to see all the evidence, because how can we trust a ruling if the SEC is just handing over pieces of paper and half the lines are completely blacked out? Now, the judge has the final say. I don't see why she would redact herself from seeing these documents. That doesn't seem like it makes sense to me, but we're going to have to see how this plays out. I mean, it's certainly interesting that the SEC is taking this approach. It's clear they are afraid to hand over what is in these documents, and one thing I know from just taking a very quick look at these documents is they all relate to the Ethereum free pass speech. We know Ripple was we know XRP was probably talked about in this speech. I have no doubt that it is brought up somewhere in some of these documents, and that is what the SEC is trying to attack right here. So Ashley also tweeted out, she said, since Judge Neprin ruled on DPP issues on January 13th, the SEC has made 3 filings concerning this issue. DPP partial reconsideration, to the William Hinman emails, letter claiming Judge Torres' ruling on the motion to dismiss makes Hinman's emails Esther Brooks notes irrelevant, motion to redact. So what she's getting at here is it's very clear that Hinman emails are a concern to the SEC, and they keep conceiving new ways to keep them out of Ripple's hands. Really, the SEC is trying to cover any evidence they have at their agency of any decision they have made in the past regarding digital assets. Now, the funny thing for me about all this is the SEC is the one who brought this case, and now they are trying to hide any evidence to the court. You'd think if the SEC brought this case, they would say, oh, well, we have all the evidence right here to prove we knew XRP was a security. No, that's not what's happening. They made a claim and are now trying to hide everything at the agency. It doesn't get more sus than that. It shows they know they don't have the evidence to actually pursue this case ethically. So what are they trying to do now? They're trying to make baseless claims and then try to just hope they don't have to hand everything over that proves their claims are baseless. It's pretty absurd. At the end of the day, I think the courts are going to prevail. They're going to push forward the right decision, and none of this is really going to matter because it's going to be so obvious that XRP is not a security that it won't even really come down to all these tiny issues we're seeing in discovery. The big point that we need to understand is that if Ripple went away today, XRP would still be traded. So think, what's the SEC going to do? If Ripple goes away, just assign another random company that XRP is a security of? It doesn't make any sense because XRP fundamentally is not a security. Now, I want to end this on one bullish note because clearly this is not the most bullish thing we've been talking about. This is actually from Perry Ann, and this is super cool because I know she tweeted this because of the tweet I put out yesterday and the video I did yesterday. I did a video yesterday essentially resummoning this tweet right here where she said in October 8th, 2020 that XRP was not a security, and I made a whole video on how insane it was that she was tweeting this out before the case even started. How do all these people seem to know that the XRP case was going to happen before it was ever made publicly? That was not answered here, but what was answered was the fact that she said we are submitting a brief and cannot comment until the brief is filed. So Jeremy Hogan says, good to see that the Chamber of Digital Commerce will file an amicus brief in the Ripple case. It filed an amicus brief in the Telegram case and focused on distinguishing digital assets from any potential investment contract. This is similar to what attorney Deaton is arguing. And this guy said, I'm assuming this is good for us. And Jeremy Hogan said, absolutely. So it looks like we're going to have another party fighting on the behalf of XRP holders. This is never a bad thing, and it's just going to show that everyone thinks the SEC is in the wrong here, except the SEC. I don't know if this is going to be any substantial game changer. I have a feeling the court already knows XRP is not a security, but the fact that no one is coming to the side of the SEC and everyone's coming to the side of Ripple, it really shows that the SEC has a baseless claim here, and the fact that they haven't had any evidence to support it just further goes to show that this is a rogue agency performing a power grab.
So enjoy your day, everybody. I'm always here for you. Leave any comments or questions below, and be sure to subscribe. But thanks, everybody. I really appreciate you. Enjoy your day, and I always have your back. So thanks so much, everybody.